You are watching Co-op for Two, broadcasting live from Champaign, Illinois, in the United States on Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m., July 30th, 2023. And today we're going to play a mystery game. You guys will choose which game we play, although I have some preferences. We can talk about them. I've got some candidates in front of me. Let's check in with the chat, see how we're doing here. Little bit of bookkeeping first while you guys tell me what you're up to. This is an unusual time for me, 1 p.m. on Sunday. Normally I like to avoid human contact in the daylight, human interaction. But I'm trying to get myself on a daytime schedule to attend Gen Con, the board gaming convention in Indianapolis that we're going to on Wednesday. I'll be there from Wednesday to Sunday. Is anyone else in the channel going to Gen Con? We go because it's close, and we go to hang out. We pack in 4 or 5 of us into a room, and we have a little summer camp. This year, I'm going... Well, I've signed up to a bunch of sort of storytelling and board gaming seminars, but I tend to sleep during those seminars. I tend to be tired. So I'm mainly going to Gen Con this year to hang out with friends, but just to be in a change of atmosphere and work on my mystery game design that I've been working on called High and Low, the New York City film noir detective game set in the 1930s. I've been coding on it for months now, and it's pretty stressful and feels ridiculous. Like I'm spending months creating basically a simulation of a New York City phone book. That's what it's like. I'm not writing any code to play a game. I'm writing code to generate maps in a phone book. And it feels stressful. Like, why am I still working on this? Anyway, I'm hoping to clear my mind a little bit and get back into game design proper. So I did want to remind you that in September, I'm going to start having regular, maybe once every 2 weeks, once every month, live streams where I talk about the design of this specific game and the design of mystery games in general. So if you're interested in that kind of game design, the design of mystery games and stuff, you might want to join me for that. And after I get back from Gen Con in the second week of August, we'll pick up the pace of doing reviews and live streams on this channel. What else to talk about? I did see 2 movies. I saw Oppenheimer and Barbie, the double feature that people are doing now. That's a trend. Quite an experience. I do absolutely recommend seeing them both on the same day. The juxtaposition of the two is quite stark. I loved a lot of Oppenheimer. Really loved seeing these physicists from history, Niels Bohr and Max Born and Heisenberg and everything. Was amazing just to see them on screen talking and to see such a serious movie. Barbie was a whole different story. Definitely some funny moments, lots of unfunny moments too, but more interestingly, a fascinating subject for discussion of feminism and new wave feminism and what are the politics of the movie. Some really different takes on the internet about this, but I find it, you could almost, there's some videos on the internet about, some of my favorite videos on the internet are these people who take a deep dive into some alternate theory. And there's an amazing one on Star Wars and the idea that Jar Jar Binks was a dark Sith Lord. So I really recommend you find that. And I think you could do the same thing with this Barbie movie. We're not going to talk about, I'm not giving you my opinion about politics of it, just that it's a rich area. You could have all kinds of interesting discussions about it. All right. Did anyone else see those movies? Any thoughts on them? Teresa says, I bought Cryptic Killers recently. I have recently purchased 3 more of the Cryptic Killers that are sort of medium difficulty. My gut tells me that only the highest level of difficulty of those are going to be really enjoyable, but because we had such a good time with Murder at Merivale Manor, I thought I'd buy the other 3. So we do have the other 3 Cryptic Killers we could play when we're ready. And Tina says, I saw Barbie yesterday. All right, while you guys are talking about what you're up to, let me go over some of the possibilities for the games we could play today and my thoughts on them. So one set of games we could play is this puzzle game called The Curious Elevator of Mr. Hanks and The Curious Stairs of Mr. Hanks. I believe this came first and then this was second, but it's a prequel to this, a little bit confusing, and I don't know which one we should play first. I have been advised which one to play first, but I can't remember. The only downside to playing these is these have a good review. They're quite special, but I try to make these live streams where we're going to decide on a game on the fly, not be games that people might have a special interest in attending since they don't have any advance notice. So I would put those low on my list, but if we have our puzzle experts in the channel, we could consider it. Next option is we could play a Deadbolt Mystery Society. I now have tons of these, and they're always fairly consistently good. And I've just got one sample one, but this is a one set in a casino tournament, and there was just recently the World Series of Poker, poker's an amazing game. So this might be appropriate thematically. I would be happy to play this. This is actually rated a little bit difficult, more difficult than our average Deadbolt Mystery Society game. So that might be a little tricky for us if we don't have the pros here today. Another good candidate for us might be Murder Noir, Murder Mystery Party Case Files game. And this is a company with a mixed track record and authored by someone who made one of these games, Chef's Knife, that was too easy, I thought. But we've heard some good things about this, and this is a cold case game. The first 3 we looked at were sort of narrative puzzle games. This is more of a cold case game. We look at the documents and try to solve the crime. I would be very happy to play this. I think that would be a good candidate for us to play. Here I have another Deadbolt Mystery Society, older version, a little bigger, but that's just another Deadbolt. And then we have our second Killer at Large game. This is another cold case game. We played the first one of these and liked it quite a bit. This is the second of 2, only 2. This one is murder. This is a newlywed murder game. Marriage something. Okay, so that's one of our 2 cold case games that we could play. And then I have 3 games that are from subscription services that I bought used. 3 different subscription services. One is the Conundrum Box. The Conundrum Box with an episode called The Great Explorer and the Orient Express. Always nice to play a train game. These last 3 I would say are a little iffy to play just because we haven't scheduled them, so people who might want to stop by and see what these games are about, it would be nice to give them a little bit of notice, and it would be nice for me to do a little research on them since I have no idea what's different about these 3 subscription companies, although you might expect that there may be a little bit of internet use here. Okay, so Conundrum Box is one, Escape the Crate is another one, and then Finders Seekers is a third one. I did do a little bit of research into the Finders Seekers series, just because this seems like an interesting one we might want to play. So I have multiples of these, so it wouldn't be the worst thing if we played one today. The Finders Seekers ones are always set in a different locale, a different country, and then it's a puzzle game, but puzzles related to that locale. I think it makes a little bit of the internet, maybe all three of these do. All right, so do you guys have a preference? It's time to take a vote. Let's hear what people want to play. So I'll just bring up the vote here while we talk a little bit. Let's see, what's the best screen for this? Okay, so you guys can vote what you want to play. If we've got a couple, our Nicola, who's our puzzle pro, but Entina as well, but Nicola's not here. So, and I think, was it Nicola who was really wanted to play the Curious Stairs and Curious Elevator of Mr. Hanks? So I think maybe, I can't remember if it was Entina or Nicola, but assuming it's Nicola, we should probably not play the Hanks game. I would be happy to play the Noir Cold Case game. Okay, Noah says, I've played Murder Noir. It's definitely not as good as the main 4, but it's not terrible. Okay, that's interesting. All right, but one of the things we do here is that if someone's in the channel who's played one of these and wants to play a new one, then we try to avoid those. So if Noah's already played Murder Noir, we can save that for another day. Emmy says, you said it before I deleted, and that he's up for the other ones. And Tina says not the Cold Cases. I think if I had to pick one of the others, it would either be one of the Deadbolt games or the Finders Seekers. I think it would be interesting to play the Finders Seekers game. It's a puzzle game, but it's new to us. It's a totally new thing, so it would be interesting to try something new. You'd have to have a little more patience since we're not sure exactly what we're in for. Remember, you can change your vote at any time. You just say vote whatever. Let's see. We've got a couple votes for the Deadbolt, one vote for Finders Seekers, one vote for Murder Noir, one vote against the Cold Cases, 2 votes for Killer at Large. That's the Cold Case game. Jonathan votes Finders Seekers. Okay, we got 2 votes for Finders Seekers then. 3 votes for the Cold Case Killer at Large game. Okay. It feels a little weird to play the Cold Case game during the day. I feel like the Finders Seekers during the daytime might be a little more enjoyable or appropriate. But I should say these votes are not binding on me. These are just, this is not democracy here. This is just to get your opinion. Theo Colley votes for Killer at Large. Wow, 4 votes for a Cold Case Killer at Large, huh? No one else want. We've got 3 for Finders Seekers now. So if I vote for Finders Seekers, that makes a tie. Tom says it's not daytime here, and it's Delia's first time. I do tend to give a little bit of extra. Okay, Invisible Man votes Finders Seekers. All right, so we've got a tie for Finders Seekers and Killer at Large, with me being the tiebreaker. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to play the Finders Seekers. Let's give it a try. It'll be interesting to try something new, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we're going to play the Finders Seekers game. And at least this will be interesting. Like, even if you're not so interested in it, you can see what it is. could be a disaster. All right, so I believe that this is another subscription service. You purchase it from their website. You can't purchase it any other way. And I believe it's like $30 a month. But I got these used, and you can see there's some physical props in here. I can see this one has some of Play-Doh, sand, some symbols on it. Now I got this used, so whenever you get these used, we have to hope that nothing's gone wrong, gone missing, or gotten written on. So that'll be another little adventure for us. Okay, so Finders Seekers says, get started. Read the letter on the back of the poster inside from Lucy Calder. Verify the contents of your box. If items are missing, email Finders Seekers. Join the Finders Seekers user group on Facebook to collaborate with others. Okay, this is not a real thing. All right, so we don't know exactly what to make of this. I mean, we don't have no idea what to expect. I don't really know the difficulty level. I don't really know the time it's going to take. Several hours, I assume. But I do know the theme of this is traveling to different places, that each box is a different country or a different location. And today we are playing New Zealand. Very clever idea for a game that's set in all these different places. It's almost like you get to travel around the world while you're playing this game. Let me remind you that if you want to see more content like this on this channel, please consider giving the video a thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, etc. Especially if we're doing these live streams on short notice, you'll want to be signed up to get notifications. Okay, so I'm assuming that every time you play one of these, you get a new poster for a new place. And it's a pretty nice looking poster. You could see if you fell in love with this idea of traveling around and solving these mysteries, you would accumulate dozens of these posters. If I had to have a choice of all the little knickknacks that come with these subscription games, like collectible cards and pins and whatever, this would be more appealing to me, posters I could put up on my wall. No snakes in New Zealand. I don't know anything about New Zealand. Certainly looks pretty, though. All right, so it looks like our welcome and instructions are here on the back side of the poster. Okay, let's see what it says. Hello, Seekers. The Society of Seekers has been invited to New Zealand by Maya Wright, a researcher of extraterrestrial life and a true believer who thoroughly investigated the New Zealand UFO sightings of 1978. The famous Kaikoura lights started a wave of unexplained UFO sightings all over New Zealand in December of that year. Police and the Royal New Zealand Air Force led an investigation, but even they didn't learn as much as Maya Wright. Interest in the case was recently renewed when a mysterious object speculated to be an extraterrestrial communication tool was uncovered during the construction of the Hobbiton movie set near Matamata, New Zealand. I immediately recognized some of the symbols on it. They're identical to ones found on confounding puzzles and clues left behind at some of the UFO sightings in 1978. She's convinced that this new object ties all the clues together and will finally be able to understand a message that the visitors left behind. It's your mission to study Maya's investigation notes and artifacts to decode the clues needed to complete missing symbols on the communication tool and decipher a message from the visitors. How to complete the find. Assemble the cipher wheel using the small metal fastener so that symbols appear in the windows when the wheel is rotated. Study Maya's investigation notes from 9 UFO sightings. Each page details her visit to a specific site in New Zealand and contains a puzzle to solve. You can solve the puzzles in whichever order you like. Each puzzle will reveal 2 corresponding symbols. One will be found on the cipher wheel already, and the other is a missing symbol. Write the missing symbol in the blank window of the cipher wheel when the corresponding symbol is displayed in the other window. Once you've completed the cipher wheel, visit seekersunite.com New Zealand to finish the find. Hints. Hints are provided on the back of Maya's first note, and answers are posted online. Inside the box, you'll find everything you need. Okay, so it's fun to look at how these systems differ. First of all, you can see, unlike some other games, this one has the contents of the box listed right here. I love that. Better than having to go online, like Deadbolt makes you go online and download a contents list. This is better. Okay, and then they're talking about a Facebook user group. Now, what I don't know is, I don't know how common this process is to all of these Finders Seekers. Has anyone in the channel played a Finders Seekers before? Is it always a cipher wheel? Is it always, it looks like 9 completely independent puzzles you can solve in any order, and then when we solve them all, we go and finish it. Check our solution online. I don't know if they're all like this. The other thing that we don't know is whether this game, this world, this universe of Finders Seekers is a supernatural extraterrestrial one. Certainly it sounds like the setup is meant for us to believe that UFOs and extraterrestrials are real. Frequently in these games they're not, that they're sometimes used as a device, but they turn out to be like a Scooby-Doo humans involved. Okay, and then there was instructions about the cipher wheel that were a little convoluted, but I assume it'll be obvious once we start playing. Okay, so it sounds like this is not broken up into envelopes or anything. It's just all given to us right from the start. 9 puzzles. We solve 9, and then we can go to the website. So let's see, if we look at our list, we've got our metal fastener. And then it says there's a black multi-tool. I guess this is our cipher wheel that we're going to put together. Sounds like there's only one, seems like there's only one way to do it. Okay, there's our cipher wheel. Put that aside. We've got a little map. It's a map of Wakerware Forest. Okay, map of Wakerware Forest. Fairly large map. Don't know what to do with it, but there it is. All right, then what have we got here? Okay, these are the wrong side up because they're hints. Are there hints on the back of all these pages? No, some of them are where to begin. These might be in opposite order. Let's see. I guess the order of these don't matter. All right, so each one of these is going to be its own little puzzle. Pretty nice little system here where they've got notes. These are someone's notes we're reading. I don't know if all the Finders and Seekers have this format, but these look like the main puzzles, and then we've got some extra stuff. So we've got a little heavy tool here. Take a closer look at this and see what this is. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a ruler. These would be things for measuring the size of hex bolts. Could be useful for our case, or it might just be that they've sourced this from something that would normally use these. This looks like a bottle opener. Don't know what this is. This could be a little flathead screwdriver thing. No, this would be something to attach it to your key ring. Then we've got inches on this side, centimeters. Here's again bolt sizes. I don't know what this is about. There's a little bit of a like an emery board here. Rob says, prepare the whiskey. Spatial puzzles. Everyone knows I'm bad at spatial puzzles. So that's what the comments are in the chat. about spatial puzzles. Okay, so we'll just put this to the side. So before we dig into our puzzles, let's look at these pieces we have here. We've got this thing, no idea. It's only single-sided. It's not a sticker. Is it the thermo stuff? No, it's gold. It looks like it belongs to the map, doesn't it? It looks like if we find a map, line it up on the map, maybe these two locations are important. Like here, can you see? Can anyone see where this goes just by looking at it? This looks like it's river coming up. Well, let's worry about it when we need it. No need worrying about it yet. And then we've got Rainbow Warrior Memorial. Looks like a little foil thing. This almost looks like they want you to fold it. But we'll worry about folding it later. Don't know if this game is normally destructive. However, this has been purchased used and they didn't need to do it, but I'm not sure they ever played it. Queenstown, these sort of pieces, we don't know what this is. And Waitomo Cave. This looks like a little bit of a puzzle. All right. Let's put our extra stuff away. So 9 puzzles, 9 cipher, 9 wheel codes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there's our 9, and one of them says where to begin. So let us start there. Where to begin? Last month, December 1978, I watched with wonder, along with all my fellow Kiwis, as the news reports kept coming in of an unidentified lights appearing across the skies of our island nation. Media outlets dubbed the sightings as the Kaikoura Lights. The most compelling reports were made by the crew of a Safe Air cargo flight. The crew members each gave similar accounts of a series of lights that tracked with their aircraft for several minutes before disappearing. The pilots described some of the lights to be the size of a house and others smaller but flashing brightly. Air traffic control in Wellington, New Zealand verified the existence of these objects on radar, which aligned with the aircraft's onboard radar that also documented them. Before long, sightings were reported all over New Zealand. I decided this was my chance to make the discovery of a lifetime and set out to interview the various eyewitnesses to our visitors. With my position as a true believer, I found that people were more willing to open up with me and share information they withheld from government officials. I'm convinced from my findings that something real happened and that our visitors are trying to make contact with us, perhaps in the form of tests or puzzles. I just need to put it all together somehow. And then here's a drawing which could be related to puzzles of some sort. What's down here? Just says copyright finders seekers. Okay, so this was her where to begin. Hints, we don't want that. So is this the first puzzle? This might be one of our puzzles. Let's take a look at our instructions again. 9 UFO sightings, each page details our visit to a specific site. Each puzzle will reveal 2 corresponding symbols. One will be found on the cipher wheel already, and the other is a missing symbol. Okay, so just look at this for a second. So it looks like maybe, no, all of our puzzles, let me see, put this at noon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 9 positions for 9 puzzles. For each puzzle, we've got, is this going to be the number of dots in the puzzle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's our 1. Okay, there you go. Puzzle 1, puzzle 2, puzzle 3, etc. For each one, we've got a symbol here, and we're trying to figure out this symbol, I guess. Something like that. Write the missing symbol in the blank window. So we're supposed to write it here, and then when we fill them all out, we'll know it. Okay. 9 UFO sightings, she's got notes. Okay, so this doesn't actually seem like it is one. I mean, unless it's this. I guess she is describing an event. Okay, so this may be a puzzle. Let's just take a look. We don't know which one of these it corresponds to, but if it corresponds to the first one, it could correspond to this. Before we spend some time looking at this, we should take a look at the next thing to see if that first thing is one of them. Let me just count these. 1, 2, 3. I see some of these are the other way around. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there are 9 sheets here. So it seems like this is just our little intro with some hints on the back. All right, so here are our 9. Now I can see that they all start with a place and a date. So maybe we should make sure they're ordered. January 3rd, January 5th, January 7th, 8th, 20, 18, 15, 13, 10. Okay, so here we go. Now they are ordered by date. Maybe that's significant. Let's check in with the chat here. First impression is, it looks nice, but concerned about how in-depth these puzzles might get. 50-hour long stream. We might be in trouble. Macon Leary says that's not one of the 9. Macon, have you played this, or you were just saying that? Like, if anyone's played it, don't give us any hints, but okay. Each one is about a site visit. Yes. Okay. So here we go. Here's our first proper site visit. Is that how they all work? Are they all set in little sites and dates? I'm not sure. Location, Milford Sound. Date, January 3rd, 1979. So look at this. You can see if a big selling point of these finder seekers is you're visiting like all these different locations in the different countries. This is a pretty cool idea. Like each page is visiting a different place, right? I mean, that's pretty cool. You get to learn about, it's almost like you're traveling to these places. Okay, so I'm assuming this is a real place in New Zealand, Milford Sound. January 3rd, 1979. Witness reports. It took days to track down and interview all of the witnesses of the Milford Sound sighting. It was a busy day on the water with dozens of boat cruises teeming with tourists. Here are some noticeable similarities among their testimonies of the strange event. Just before sunset, something large, glowing, and unknown filled the sky. The rainy weather cleared for an hour, though dozens of temporary waterfalls continued to careen down the mossy cliffs all around the waterfall mist, and the mysterious light source combined into an evening rainbow. Even the wildlife took notice. A pod of dolphins turned their bottlenoses skyward, and the basking seals silenced their barking to watch. Most reported feelings of awe and of knowledge of their small place in the grand universe. However, many were skeptics, who later claimed the feelings were caused by the majesty and pristine otherworldliness of the Fjordlands themselves. Several witnesses reported seeing a grid and odd characters projected on the side of a steep cliff. One astute observer quickly sketched what they saw, and I copied it on the back of this sheet. A real attempt at communication by the visitors. Okay, so here's where we are at Milford Sound. Before sunset, a UFO is seen. We've got rainbows, waterfalls, the dolphins are staring up into the sky with the seals. And someone sees a grid and odd characters projected on the side of a steep cliff. And here they are. Let's put the rest of these aside. Okay, so here's what they saw projected, I guess. Site significance: Glacier Cut Fjord, so remote and wild, its 360 degrees of pristine beauty still looks untouched. Rudyard Kipling, the guy who wrote Jungle Book, called it the eighth wonder of the world. And here is our puzzle proper. The visitors attempted communication at Milford Sound through a series of unknown characters and two grids. Could it reveal the symbols that correlate with the cipher tool? Could it reveal symbols that correlate with the cipher tool? Okay, so here's our cipher tool. Let's make sure we don't ignore our other items. We've got this one, Rainbow Warrior Memorial. That doesn't sound like where we are. Queenstown, we're not there. So maybe these are going to be for specific places. So it doesn't seem, and it seems like maybe the first place might be the easiest one. All right, and then we've got this. So we don't know if this is puzzle 1, and we don't know if this is supposed to help us here. I'm just looking at the rest of these. They all look pretty similar. They're all shapes. Okay, I thought she was saying someone reported seeing a grid and odd characters projected on the side. A astute observer quickly sketched what they saw, and I copied it. So it looks like, if you had to guess, you would guess that we're going to have to fill this out with these things, but what does it want from us? Let's draw the lines in the grid according. So, do we want to draw? It's an attempt at communication. And then the premise of this is each puzzle will correspond to two symbols. One is on the grid. So like there's our first symbol, probably for this puzzle, if I had to guess. First date, earliest date, this one. Okay, one corresponds, found on the cipher wheel, and the other is a missing symbol. So if you had to guess, what you'd be asking for is what's the paired symbol to this? And here we've got two pairs of things. Is everything in sets of twos? Doesn't seem like everything's in sets of twos. Well, let's see what the chat thinks. Let's draw the lines in the grid according to the directions and see. Yes, the arrows are probably directions to draw lines in. Pick a dot to start on and then follow the directions. So if I understand what you're saying, let's see if we can't use our little trick here. Hold on a second. Let me get us a... All right, so you remember one of our little tools for this kind of thing is to use something we can write on. So let's see. So it sounds like what the chat is suggesting is to do something like treat these as ordered instructions. So it sounds like you're saying like follow these arrows, like, okay, so the first arrow of red goes this way, then this way, then this way, then this way, and up, and this way. Boy, it's hard to remember where we went. We went right, down, 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 up, 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 up. Okay, so this sure seems like we're doing the right thing. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8. Okay. Then this way. And this way. And down, down, left, 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 up, 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 right, up. Okay. So there's our red pattern here. Now we could use another color here. So I drew in black, but really I should have drawn in red because my next color is red. But let's just do this one. Okay, where's our blue dot? Where was it? Blue dot's here. I remember the colors are reversed. So now I'm going to follow the blue instructions. This way, 2, 3, 4. And this, and this, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And this, and this. Okay, nice symmetrical thing. Remember that red and blue are reversed here. Okay, so now, if you had to guess, you might guess this is going to be a symbol found on our wheel. Let's see if we can find that symbol. Is that it? No. Is it? No. No. Oh, look at that. Okay, so there's our symbol. So now we know where the dial should be. Now we know we're finding the answer to symbol 4. So now whatever we get here is the answer to this. Okay, let's do red for red now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Sounds like it doesn't really care about colors for symbols here. They're just ways, I guess, to throw us off the trail or give us an extra little thing to worry about. Okay, blue. Oh, and to tell us what dot to start from. Okay, blue goes down, down. 1, 2, 3, 4, up, up. Okay, so there's our answer to this puzzle, which is puzzle number 4. All right, so we have nothing to do with this other than to plug it in to the website at the end. Okay, so for puzzle 4, we've got our shape that we're going to have to put into the website at some point, I guess, which looks like this, right? And there's our grid, 4x4 grid. Okay, there's our first puzzle solved. Good work on the chat, and this, you can see why this tool is so useful to avoid having to write on things. All right, so we're going to file this away. Maybe we'll keep this with this. That's our answer to that puzzle. I suppose it might make sense to keep it with this. One of the tricky things with these things is when you need to go back and can't reconstruct how you got there. All right, let's just put these all together. You can see those overheads are useful. All right, that's our first puzzle solved. Good work, team. Have a little coffee. What are you guys drinking here today? It's very unusual to be chatting with people during the daytime. 1:50 p.m. I guess I should have said that we've been meeting at 3 p.m. here on the channel to play Dear Homes. Quite a compelling play-by-mail game. But they seem slow getting letters out. I expect they've emailed that the new letter's on the way. So I suspect that next Sunday at 3 p.m. we'll be back to our Dear Homes. Jonathan Warner says, just drinking water. Okay, let's not forget this either. We have no idea what puzzle this is used for. Okay, let's look at our next. Remember that you don't have to solve these in order. Invisible Man says, I was drinking some Jack Daniels and Coke. Now on to water. Okay, so again, we don't have to play these in order. If we get stuck on one, we'll just move along. Here we are at Hookah Falls. Is anyone joining us that lives in New Zealand? What is the time zone in New Zealand? What time is it there? Date January 5th, 1979. Okay, so we are a couple days later. The guide and witnesses all agreed that repeating the raft tour would help them remember, so I reluctantly paid for the whole group to ride the jet boat to the bottom of the falls, and I rode with them. The ride was more thrilling than I expected as we sped between canyon walls. Beardy yelled out, "This is where we first saw the orb following us." Then our guide whipped us around a corner so fast we did a 360, and lady wearing her life jacket wrong whooped. They followed us past these hydroelectric plants about 4:15, which was the same time as those weird power surges throughout the country. I was soaked by the time we reached the base of Hookah Falls and zipped about through the turbulent water. Here the guide called out, "Here's where they hovered above us, shifting positions in a hypnotic way." When we got back to the dock, he gave me a paper, see the reverse, that he had found floating in the water nearby. The image on it mystifies anyone who sees it. Okay, so we've got some rapids here. We went on the trip with them to reconstruct it. Beardy says we saw an orb following us. The lady says they kept following us past these hydroelectric plants. And then at 4:15 p.m., when there was power surges all throughout the country, he says they hovered above us, shifting positions in a hypnotic way. And then this is the thing, this was found in the water. Okay, well, you can see what we think is going to happen here. Boy, these really are all spatial so far, and they really call out for cutting things up. But let's see, well, I guess we'll have to try to figure it out without doing that. Site significance. A narrow volcanic canyon changes the wide and placid Waitako River into a fire hose of careening power just in time to burst over the edge and into the roiling pool below. What can we accomplish if we channel our power? Downriver are hydroelectric plants providing 15% of New Zealand's power, so a little bit of history lesson here. There's a footbridge right at the top of the falls, offers an intimate view of the terrifying power of water. Did they come here because they know the importance of water in making a planet inhabitable? Puzzle clue. The drawing appears to contain two groupings of lines. How do they connect with symbols on the cipher wheel? So it looks like these strips are going to be reordered. Right? Like this strip is goes here, and then followed by this one, then this one, then this one. So it looks like if we rearrange them, I guess this might be on the bottom. So it might be this, then this one here on top of it, continuing this line up, continuing the lines up. all the way. Oh, where does this one go though? Where did I think this one was? So this is very spatial. If you cut these strips out, it would sure be easier. And then if we did the same, use those same alignments, we would get this one. So that's my guess. This looks like this forms a diamond type thing, and then this one will form something else. But let's look on this to see if we can see how this would arrange. To me, it looks like it might be like a diamond type shape. It's definitely not that. There we go. I think that looks like that. But then what's this? This part doesn't quite... Oh, I see. This is actually two strips, isn't it? It looks like these are connected, but really this is a different strip. So this strip here is this top line, I think. So this is at the very bottom, and then they progress up to make a triangle all the way up. And then these, you can see, are the 2 points here. So I assume that if we reconstruct this in this order and use the same strips here, we'll get a second symbol here. The problem is actually doing that without cutting them. So I think what we'll do is we'll take our first break here. I'll make a scan of this and we'll print it out and actually cut up the strips and reconstruct it. One of the things that's sort of, if you've watched this channel before, occasionally I get very frustrated after an hour working on something. And part of that problem comes in because of rush to feel like we have to do it on time. But let's take our time. Macon says in the channel, can we just spin the wheel and come up with a candidate symbol? Well, we have. That's what this is. This is our candidate symbol. Remember that the second symbols aren't listed on this, aren't on this chart. They're just freehand drawings. I believe all the answers to the puzzles are freehand drawings and that the website is going to have us pick them out. The answers are not in the wheel. The answers are not to be found in the wheel. Just the keys are found in the wheel. It's an interesting idea for a thing in that you don't know what the key is, what the left-hand side is, but those are multiple choices. So you've got clues because there's only one way to get a key from this. And once you find what you think it is, that tells you how this is, but then this one is completely open-ended. Okay, so we're going to take a little break. Our 8-minute break. We'll come back. I'll have scanned this, printed out. We'll cut it up, and we'll solve puzzle number 2. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we're back. I have scanned and printed our sheet here. And we're just going to cut this up into strips and then rearrange it to meet the first pattern. Now, I have to say, one of the biggest mysteries of this for me is going to be to understand whether all of the finder seekers follow this same system of this paired cipher wheel. It's quite clever because it makes each puzzle basically a pair of puzzles. The first part is figuring out how do you identify what symbol the left-hand part of the puzzle is, and then how does that get you the answer? However, it seems like the nature of that means that these are all, so far at least, very, very spatial puzzles, almost entirely spatial. And I'm not sure like how it's gonna how it would do a math constraint satisfaction puzzle, or are these all gonna be spatial? Or is it that each box has a different system entirely, and that this box is all spatial, and another box might be something different? Does anyone else happen to know what the common system is between the finders keepers, if they all use a similar system? And Tina has, of course, already solved it. Now, some people are very good at spatial reasoning. In fact, there's lots of interesting tests of whether people can spatially rotate things in their head. But you could imagine that some people might be able to do this in their head. We know what shape we're supposed to get. We know it's this. But some people could reorganize this in their head and reorganize this in their head. Certainly, I cannot. But even if I could, we would still do this because we're doing this. This is almost like these videos for people who play after they play the game, they can watch it solved, or they can watch how people get stuck. So we're not in any rush. All right, so we're trying to recreate this symbol. So oh, there's two, that's right. Whoa, boy, you got to be careful, huh? Because I moved these around. The round ones are on the right. Yeah, I probably should have taken greater care about that. Okay, so we think this is at the very top. That's the base of that top triangle. And then at the very bottom was this one. So I'll put that at the bottom. The rest here. Okay, there's our bottom. And then they just should go up in order. Let me get them aligned properly so we can see better. Okay, this is probably near the top. Not quite the top though. There's our top. Might be even easier to line up the circle one since we can see what it is. Looks like it's going like that. That's at our very bottom. Looks like maybe that goes next. Maybe this one, not quite. What's going on here? Where did I forget this one? This one has to go up there somewhere. I guess this is the first one. Okay, so there's our solution. And again, it's all divided into these duals. So there's that. Guess I could look a little cleaner. You're playing at home. So on our left is our double triangle. And then on the right is our circle with the cross. The details of this aren't important, I presume, because really all we're going to need to be able to answer is that puzzle 6 the answer is a circle with a cross. I assume we're going to get a multiple choice answer eventually. If you were doing this at home, it would be not a bad idea to take a little photo. I mean, you could imagine that at the end, the choices are like a tall oval or a long oval. So maybe we should write it out that it looks more like that. Okay, so that's this puzzle done. Let's just leave that aside. We'll mark this off. 2 of our 9 puzzles done. All right, next up, we'll just put these away. All right, I mean, not hard, pretty obvious, but not, depending on how you like spatial puzzles. Okay, our next one is the location is a sheep farm on North Island, which is now called Hobbiton. The Lord of the Rings movies were filmed in New Zealand by Peter Jackson, so this is a play off that. Witness reports, my trip to North Island was a bit of a muck-up. The sighting in North Island sent me tramping around through grotty sheep fields. The few witnesses only saw strobing lights from afar, but I found 2 metal plates with what looked like bolts on them. I photographed the objects for further inspection. See the reverse. Okay. Except on party business. Update. Upon doing maintenance in Hobbiton, built in 1999 as movie set for The Lord of the Rings, okay, so this is real, and the Hobbit films, construction workers found new evidence where they were digging for a Hobbit home. It looks like some kind of metal tool. So remember, we've got like 1979 reports and then a follow-up in 1999. So here she finds photographs of metal plates with bolts, and then here's an update in 1999. Construction workers found new evidence where they were digging for a Hobbit home. It looks like some kind of metal tool. So she found bolts in 1979, and then it sounds like they found this tool in 1999. Site significance, just some random sheep field out in the Wops. Or is it foretelling some future importance to this location? Tranquil country scene, natural New Zealand beauty equals idyllic setting to feel like you're in another world. Okay, so here we go. It looks like we've got our duel, and it looks like we probably rotate these to make a pattern and then maybe do the same rotation here. I'm confident the black metal tool somehow works together with these metal plates and bolts to reveal 2 more symbols from the cipher wheel. So we've got a couple options. I mean, these are the wrong size for these bolts. Why would we need... I wouldn't think you would actually need this, but this might just be a clue that they're... Okay, so I guess they do fit in there. So that's an 8mm bolt. I don't know. That could be... Yeah, that looks like 8 or 6, and that's our 8, if we think that's relevant. But it seems like you would just rotate them. Maybe you don't need to know that, but maybe all the 8s rotate. Maybe all the 6 are meant to rotate 90 degrees, and all the 8s are meant to rotate 45 degrees. Looks like both clockwise. So if that was true, the big ones would rotate 45 degrees. And these, so if you just look, I expect that these are all going to align, and you could see if this one rotated 90 degrees and this one 45 degrees, then this line would be up and it would connect to this line. So let's just try to do it sort of in our head. And then if we do the same thing to both, this one's going to be a symbol on the wheel, and this one's going to be the symbol we want. So let's just try to do it in our head, remembering that the small ones go 90 degrees. So if this went 90 degrees, it would be like this. And this one went 45, it would be straight across. And this would be like that. This one would just be straight across. This one would be like this. Okay. Then this one, 90 degrees, looks like it would go down. And like that, maybe. This one. Here. It's kind of hard to do this in my head, to be honest. And this would be straight like this. This doesn't really look like. It's kind of weird that we have small and big. Oh, yeah. Let me do one more, and then we'll see if we can identify this and see if we're not doing it wrong. This looks like that. That. 90 degrees would be like that. So it looks like these might connect. These might go this way. Let's see if we can identify this shape here. We've got going in the right path. We've only done two, huh? Okay. So we know that's the answer. We rotate the small ones. Small one goes 90, the big one goes 45. When we do that with this one, we get what looks like this. And now we just have to apply the same idea to this one. Again, if you cut these out, it might be easier, but it looks like, well, this might be a little tricky because this one we have to actually get the full picture of. Don't know if I'm gonna have enough room on this piece of paper. Well, let's try it. Okay, so going 90 degrees here, clockwise, we've got this small thing, and then that one goes across, and then 90 degrees gives us that. That's our first row. First row. Next row is going to look like that. Next row, let's see, like that. Next row like that. Like that. And then I guess this one's like that. So my scale is off, but you can get the basic gist. And then we've got another 90 degree. And then two lines like that. And then another 90. The nice thing is this one is easier to do, right? So this one's like that. This one's like that, that, that. Okay, so I think our symbol looks like that. There's our answer to number 2. We know it's puzzle number 2 because there's our 2 and there's our probe symbol. Okay, so let's put these together as our solution to number 2. Okay, that was cute. The most interesting thing to me is this dual pairing, and that's probably all we need this for. This dual pairing of where you're first finding the Q, the left-handed symbol that tells you how to start the configuration. Second symbol always easier. Yes, possibly. Okay, next puzzle. Waitomo Glowworm Caves. Wouldn't mind visiting there. January 8th, 1979. Witness reports. There was a sighting at Waitomo Glowworm Caves. I raced over to speak to witnesses before they forgot everything important. Just at the risk of beating a dead horse, I want to remind you that the structure of this game is such that this is a real place, a real tourist attraction probably, and we're learning a little bit, we're getting a little feel for visiting New Zealand. A glowing orb followed a tour boat down the underground Waitomo stream. A man in a blue shirt said the strange glow didn't match the gentle blue-green bioluminescence of the glowworms. Definitely didn't blend into the serene, starry night scene the creatures have built onto the ceiling of the cave. Wow, that sounds like a crazy cave to be in. Middle-aged woman said the orb danced playfully behind them all through the glowworm grotto and then disappeared into a wall near the exit. I immediately booked the next tour, a blackwater rafting tour. I grabbed my wetsuit and floating tube and went straight into the wall. Much to the chagrin of the other tourists, my flashlight and noise as I splashed towards the wall made the glowworms temporarily stop glowing. But it was all worth it. I found a strange instrument with colored lights on it and paths that seemed yet to be completed. Visitors from afar have made contact. Now I just need to solve the meaning of the paths and seemingly random markings. Okay, found an instrument with colored lights on it. Okay. Is that... Do we not have such an instrument? The other side of this says, caves were first discovered by Maori chef Payne Tinarau. Government forced them to sell using some preservation acts and took over both upkeep and tourism. Mesmerizing scene is created by gnat larvae spinning silk threads with sticky droplets. Whoa. Are the visitors trying to lure us into a trap? Update: in 1989, the cave was returned to descendants of Chief Tinarau. Limestone cave formed over the last 30 million years. Are we seeing visitors upon their arrival, or have they always been here waiting? Puzzle clue. I'm confident the curious metal square with glowing lights and peculiar markings, photo enclosed, reveals something. The purple and green lights at the bottom seem to be of significance. How do they connect with the cipher tool? I'm trying to, what is the photo enclosed? Is it saying this is the tool? Glowing lights and peculiar markings. Is this the photo of the tool? No, this is a photo of the cave. So do we need... Let's look at our list here. 2 cutout pieces, that's a cipher tool. 10 UFO notes, container of sand, metal fastener, black metal multi-tool, map puzzle, small black gold tile, rainbow memorial puzzle, and the Queenstown cave is... But we're not in Queenstown. So what are they talking about? curious metal square with glowing lights and peculiar markings. A little confused as to what that is they're talking about. Queenstown Waitomo Cave puzzles. Waitomo Cave, Queenstown. Oh, here it is. It's on the other side of this. Okay, good. Okay, so there's the device. All right, and the puzzle clue was, I'm confident the metal square and peculiar markings reveal something. The purple and green lights at the bottom seem to be of significance. The purple and green lights at the bottom seem to be significant. Oh, I see. So they're saying, so I think what it's saying is the purple is going to be our, refer to our cue, and the green is going to be our answer, if I had to guess. And what have we got here? We've got lights, and then we've got curves. It's another spatial one that probably we could, might have been nice to have a scan. Let's see then. Well, what do you notice? I notice that it's all pairs. Look, purple, purple, red, red, and they're connected. Blue, blue, light blue, light blue, dark blue, orange, orange, yellow, yellow. So everything is paired. And then it looks like maybe it's telling us that we have to make a path between the pairs. These guys got connected, and look, there's their lines showing us how they got connected, I guess. And then this almost looks like there was a path here to show us. So if we look at the purple, and we think we have to go from here to here with curves, we think we're going to connect this to this. But, okay, is that a line telling us, like, what is the rule for that? What's the rule being used for this red? What is the rule for the red? There's a hole, a little hole that we went through, and then we followed, almost as if it's water. Is that right? It's like water. So if you put the water in the purple, it can't go below it, but it could go above it and to the right. And what about this one? This part's a little bit confusing. Like, do we care about these things? Let's look at our cues, because this one is going to be weird. We know that if we're right that the purple is our cue, this is going to look like a connection between something in the lower left to something in the far upper right. So let's see which one of these it could match to. No. Possibly, but probably not. No. No. Okay, so it's not, so that's not that obvious. Huh. I thought we were going to find a simple connection. Could it be that? Connecting from the lower left purple to the upper right purple. Doesn't look like the aspect ratio is right. And that looks far too complicated. Huh, I thought it was going to be something easier to spot, like a simple path, but I don't see it. Of course, my theory about purple versus green could be completely wrong. Huh. I mean, clearly it wants us to connect the purple to the purple. Whether the totality makes another symbol or not, I can't say. But clearly you can see the colors are matched to each other. Whether we have to match the other colors to each other, I don't know. But what is the rule here? Like, if these lines are like this, do we rotate these lines or do we just have to follow them? The lines under this are weird. Like, it goes around this purple but stops here. I'm not sure where that wants us to go. Are we supposed to rotate it? Are we supposed to rotate these things somehow? Not, doesn't look like it. Like, what's the... That's confusing to me. Let me check in with the chat, see what theories we got. Medium blue goes to the right of the other medium blue, and then 90-degree turn down to the right. When the colors get combined if the line passes them because they get poured into each other. You might be overthinking it. I mean, this green has got to go here. This blue has got to go to this blue. You would think, combine the shapes in each cell on the connection path between the colors. Okay, don't know what that means. Sure feels like that these red and blue, the examples were given. So one way to look at it is to say that once you connect them, then you draw the shape on top. Like, you can see this line here hasn't affected this. It's almost as if you connect them however you want, and then you draw the lines, and you don't get affected by these things. That's very bizarre. Like, if you look at the grid, it's only got one line in each. But where the lights are, it's got its own lines. It almost makes me think that we could just draw whatever path we wanted to connect the two. The shortest possible path that would let all the things connect. That's feels very unconstrained. What are these background lines? What are they doing? What are the background lines doing? What are the background lines doing? Like, it's weird because these lines here don't feel like they're anything like the rest of the lines. None of the other lines look like this. This is like hard line, polygon. Everything else is curved. There's no other hard line polygons. So it's almost as if that's not part of it. But then every other box has lines, but not... Boy, that's weird. That's weird. Where's my thing? I almost wonder if the need to connect all colors to themselves is enough of a constraint to give us unique paths. And then once we make the paths, we can do the rest. Like yellow has to connect to yellow, right? So that creates a line here. Then the only way the pink gets to the pink in a straight line is that way. Turquoise goes to turquoise. We're just thinking, we're just brainstorming now. If green went to green this way, blue could go this way, but then yellow can't connect to yellow. Yellow can't connect to yellow. I mean, orange can't connect to orange this way. That would block the others. So orange almost has to go this way. Then purple has to go this way. And orange has to go this way. Green has to go this way. And blue has to go this way. So it almost feels like they have to be in that pattern. But then, given that, which is compelling, how do we make sense of our theory of looking up purple as one solution and green as another? Like, how do we map that to this? If this is right, do we trace the background shapes now? Okay. Let's take a look. Given that we have these paths, can we now combine the symbols on the paths? So if we look at purple, we've got a curve and then a line, and then a lower line, and then a curve like this, and then a curve like this, and then a line and a curve. If we overlay those on a grid, I wonder, do we get a curve and then a line, a curve, a curve, a line up here, and a curve up here? So I think maybe it looks something like that, or maybe even like that. So let's look for our symbol here. And there it is. So our purple, our Q, is this one. And now we trace the green. Okay, so we're just overlay these shapes on a grid. Be easier if we actually had some tracing paper, but essentially, there's our square. We've got a curve here, and a line here, and a line here. And then a line here, and a line down the middle, and a curve up, and then like this. So it looks to me like this is our shape, like this, essentially. So curve meets bottom curve, that's our here. Then this line meets this line, that's our, maybe more accurately would be to put it like this, but not to the full edge. There's our top bar, our bottom bar. And then our middle horizontal, which goes the whole way. So I think this is it. It's a weird shape. But I think this is our puzzle. Now, what puzzle number is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there's our puzzle 9. I'm going to run out of overlays here. I believe that this is going to be right. Although that's a little... The fact that it's symmetrical is a nice clue that we're got it right. It may not be exactly that, but it's going to be close enough. So here's a good example of good puzzle design. One of the important things with these kinds of puzzles is when the person figures it out, it should be obvious that they figured it out. The fact that we've got this nice symmetric thing seems pretty obvious that we're on the right track. It's a ship, says Rob. Well, that's one of the things that we're missing from this game is some sort of logic to the symbols and puzzles. But if this was a ship in the water, that's nice and sensible. I don't know. Could you say the same thing about this? Was the answer to this puzzle like a nice little house? Okay, there's our puzzle number 9, done and done. So far, so good. That was a pretty clever one. That was pretty neat. Trying to figure out, like, why are these symbols here? What are they doing? I like that one. It's a spatial puzzle. I normally don't like them, but for spatial puzzle, that was a pretty cool one. Okay. Let's get started with our next. What did everyone think? How would you rank them? Is that up your top? Didn't like it, says Andina. Andina says, didn't like. Remember, the answers aren't on the wheel. Only the cues are on the wheel. So you look up the cue. When you figure out the cue on the wheel, that gives you a clue. Knows you're on the right track, but it also tells you what puzzle number you're trying to solve. Let's make sure that was for that. Yeah. I like the fact that we're getting, like, I really do like the fact that you're trying to find that first cue. Okay. January 10th, 1979. Witness reports. I got wind of another clue this morning. A sighting in the Wakawarawa Redwood Forest. Wakawarawa Redwood Forest. Oh, the views are serene. Imported trees protecting the natural ferns, flowers and fungi below, so there's a riot of green everywhere I look. I found the 3 witnesses who saw the unidentified lights on a nighttime mountain bike excursion down the Gunagata Trail. Each described a mind-altering experience where they lost all sense of time and existence. It was as if their consciousness was removed and drawn up to an unknown place for what seemed like hours. When the 3 came to, one discovered a map in his pocket while his friend was clutching a beautiful black metal square with gold etching. Another message to decrypt. What is the site's significance? Nearby is a living Maori village where the Turagani Nagadi Waihau people share their traditional way of life. This is a productive plantation of imported trees like the California redwood, where you can see all stages of forest management at once. If plantation owners can share this with hikers, bikers, and adventurers, why can't the government share their findings about the Kaikoura lights? So, a little magnetic diagram here, some chemical symbols, puzzle clue. How does the map and black gold square work together? I'm sure they reveal another set of symbols. Okay, well, this seems fairly easy, actually. It's talking about this and this. And it seems like we're going to find out where this goes on the map, and then there's going to be like symbol 1 and symbol 2. So we just have to figure out where this overlays on the map. Okay, well, how would you do that? We've got our main lines here at the cross, and then we've got this little curve up. So at the very corner, we've got 3 lines going up with a little curve, a thick flute-like curve over here. This could even be water. So if these are water, then we would be looking for a location of 3 water things. If it's not water, this seems like the odd one. This is a flute coming up and then it stops. Where would we find a flute and then stopping? Either with water or with a road. This just seems like the thing to focus on right here. Like it's like a pipe. Let's think of it. Like we've got to find a curving pipe. Where do we see a curving pipe of blue or black? Where is our curving pipe? We don't know the scale. And we've got some green areas too. It almost looks to me like I think I got it. Like, look at this little boomerang with the line and the circle. I think this is our boomerang right here with the line and the circle hidden. So I think that little flute pipe is right there. See if I can give it to you a little bit better. So I think what we're looking at is like, there's the pipe right there. Yeah, you can see it lines up, right? Like here is here. This is a good example why these games aren't great for the stream. You have a harder time to do it. Easiest way is to look for the 2 circled symbols. I don't think so. I think we're trying to figure out what's underneath that, so we can't really look for it. But that is right there. So here's our symbol in the circle. It's a triangle with a line and a circle. So this is our symbol 1, or potentially symbol 2, this thing here. So let's see if we can't find that in our cues. It's not that. 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 Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so there's our cue, which lines up with that. All right, and so what we want to know is what's over here. And there's our answer. Right? So there's our cue, and then down here is our answer. So the answer to this puzzle is a circle with a line like that. Okay, and what puzzle is this? Number 3. Okay, so there's our answer to puzzle 3. That's that. Are we going to make use of this map again, or is that it? Is that the entirety of our use of our map? Guess we'll file this with this, and we'll come back to it if we need it again. Otherwise, we'll assume that that's it. All right. That's this one. Okay, cute, fun, not especially challenging, but cute, cute. All right. Time for a break it? No, we can do one more. Here we go. Location Mine Bay. We're at January 13th. Witness reports. A bunch of 20-somethings in togs talked over each other to be the first to tell the story of the Mine Bay sighting. These kayakers were watching the carving master, Matahi Wakataka Brightwell, at work on scaffolding against the cliff face. Matahi was in his second summer of carving the face of Nagatoriorangi. Nagatoriorangi, a prominent Maori navigator who guided people to the Tapo area more than 1,000 years ago. Matahi said the natural alcove called out to him. He saw the image of a tattooed face in his head and then brought it to life with a mallet and chisel. See, there he is carving it out here. The witnesses all had the same vision of symbols appearing around them. Thankfully, there was one believer in the group of utter muppets. Kayaker number 5 collected several curious items that I can only describe as sculptures. They were plates of metal with colored cubes fused to them. They cradle nicely with each other, almost begging to be stacked. The kayaker, knowing he found something special, would not depart with the items. But he let me sketch them. Again, what is their meaning? This is a little typo. Would not part with the items. Okay, so this guy is carving out in the things. They found metal plates that wanted to be stacked. So site significance. Matahi trained in the traditional art of carving for 10 years with Maori elders. Can traditional knowledge help me figure out this mystery? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we've got some grids here that look like they're for helping us. The deliberate arrangement of the colored cubes means something. What do the numbers of dots signify? Levels or orders? I mean, they look like dice. Why does he say they want to be stacked? Okay, so it's a little three-dimensional. It feels like maybe if you stack these on top of each other, you'd get two symbols, a green symbol and a blue symbol. So if you imagine you stack these up, you would get, it's another spatial thing. So like, here's our grid, right? Wait, I think did I make a copy of this one? No, I did not. Why did I not? Why did I not make a copy? Okay, let's do our grid. So, can we do it with an overlay? It's like I'm going through all my different kinds of overlays, but okay. So we've got two colors, green and blue. I'll just do the green first. That's probably going to be our cue. So it looks like what we got is these fill in here. And then you stack that on top of it. You get one here, one here, one here, and one here. Right? And then the 3 goes on top. It's a full row. So that's this whole row. Then the next row is every other one. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know where this. Okay, then oh, I did that one. And then this one has got one here and one here. So it seems like it's trying to say that's our Q symbol. Does that work? Is there a Q symbol that looks like that? Is that this? Yes, that's that. Right? Okay, so then we just stack the blue. Similarly, we start with the whole bottom row. And then we've got 2 in, like that is there. The next one is here. Okay, then we've got this one. And 3 here. And then we've got this. Okay, so there's our symbol. Again, another symmetric symbol. And if you were to draw it out here, it would look something like a line. And then a line all the way up, all the way up, a little bit up. Something like that, right? All right. So I believe that is our answer. Remember, you can't check this until we get to our answers. And what puzzle number is this? Number 5. Any disagreement with me about that being the answer to that puzzle? Everyone seems to agree. So I'm just going to put this together here. This is just all spatial reasoning. I will put this aside. Hopefully we won't need to reconstruct it. All right. Well, we've got 3 more puzzles. Let's start on the next one. I guess I should check in with the chat every once in a while. Stacked underline, rotate them like the grid on the bottom. Good job. Yep. Okay, everyone agrees. Okay, next up. Let me pause for a second and remind everyone playing, since we have some new people playing with us here today that don't normally join us because of our time. When we finish playing through this puzzle, we're going to talk about it, give our thoughts, favorite parts, least favorite parts, thoughts from game design perspective, how it compares to other puzzle games. So while we're playing, if you want to jot down notes, your thoughts about the game, if you have to leave early, you can always post your thoughts as comments on the video afterwards. But part of the fun of doing this stream is getting to talk about these games together and what we liked and didn't like, etc. Okay, Walter Peak High Farm. January 15th, 1979. This is going to be another real place, I presume. Witness reports. After an overnight sighting at Walter Peak High Farm, I jumped on the first morning ride across Lake Wakatipu via vintage steamship, the only practical way to get there. Wow. I found the sole witness of this event, a farmer who had been out practicing with his dog for the sheep corralling demonstrations the next day. He said a huge something had floated directly over his head, stopping first over the deer and goat enclosure, then the sheep enclosure, and then finally the cattle field. At each step, a small light dropped from it and floated gently to the ground. The aircraft then zipped away at high speeds and was captured on radar 60 miles away, meaning that it traveled at 3 times the speed of sound, much faster than any known Earthcraft. The owners were most concerned about the count of their cattle, having heard ridiculous rumors about abductions and such. None were missing, surprise, surprise. Our visitors have proven themselves to be benevolent and of higher intelligence. The one thing that stood out to the farmer was more of an annoyance than anything. After the ship flew away, all of the TVs in the house were broken, permanently displaying a weird sign-off screen. I asked to see it and sketched what I saw, immediately recognizing it was another message from the visitors. So they were just analyzing the animals. And here's a real picture of Walter Peak High Farm in New Zealand. New Zealand looks amazing. I had no idea. Okay, so he's found a pattern on the televisions. They're all broken. And this is the pattern. Sheep outnumber people in New Zealand nearly 5-1. How many visitations have we missed because they were witnessed only by sheep? Okay. This is the pattern on the TV. The sign-up screen displayed on the farm's TVs contained another key to communicate with the visitors. The hash marks must correspond somehow with the grid and the shapes above. Okay. Well, I can see already what it looks like. It looks like the hash marks are in pairs giving us coordinates. Like this is 5 by 7, 7 by 4, 1 by 7, 3 by 4, etc. The X and Y coordinates are unique. We've got 3, 1, 8, 6, and then here we've got what? 7, 2, 5, 4. So we don't have to worry about what's X and Y coordinate. So given we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah, I see. Here's our Q and here's our answer. So our Q is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coordinate sets, 6 coordinate tuples. And here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down here. Okay. Well, let's put this in our trusty thing and count it up. So the only thing now left to be figured out is how to arrange the answer. Okay, so let's translate here. What is that coordinate? 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This looks like 5, 8. Next one is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 4. Next up is what? 1 by 7. Next up is 3 by 4. Next up is, looks like 6 by 7. And lastly, 1 by 2. Okay, so now let's look up here. 5, 8. Well, there's our 5, and there's our 8. So I wonder if we're going to get all gray squares for our first thing. Okay, but our first thing is a... let's just do it this way. This is our first one. The next one is 8 by 4. I guess that's unique. That's 8 by 4. That's our second one. Let's see if I can give it to you better, a little bit better. Okay, our next tuple was 1 by 7. So there's our 1 by 7. This is our third symbol. 3 by 4. Unless I've wrongly written that down, that's our fourth symbol. 6 by 7, that's down here. This was our fifth symbol. And then 1 by 2, this would be our sixth symbol of our Q. Okay. Now, how do we make that into a Q shape? Like our first symbol is a... Our first symbol is a line like this, and then the second symbol is a line like this. But then our third symbol... Like, do you think we draw it on this grid? Or do we draw it on top of itself? Like the third symbol is this. The fourth symbol is this. This symbol is this. Sixth symbol is this. But how do we connect them? I wonder if it's all in a 4 by 4. if everything is in a 4x4 grid, right? Like this is a grid, this is a grid, this is a grid. Then our first symbol goes like this. Our second symbol goes like this. Our third symbol goes like this. Our fourth symbol would go like this. And our fifth symbol would go like this. And our sixth symbol would go like this. So like that. That looks familiar. Let's see if we have one of those as our cues. No. Oh, there we go. Okay. So given that that's our code, seems to be, I can't tell if there's a little disagreement in the channel about how I did it, or just that there's a little bit of a delay. Let's transcribe our answer key though, but clearly I did it right. So let's transcribe this last. Now that we know the Q is right and we're working on this puzzle, let's do this. So this is 5, 3. Then we've got 4x3, 2x3, 2x1. And then what is this? 5 or 6? 1, 2, 3. 6 by, need to zoom in on this. Okay, 6 by 7 it looks like. I like that everything is symmetric though, so if you get something wrong, you know it. Okay, there's 6 by 2. Okay, so there's our coordinates. Let's draw them out here. 5 by 3 is here. That's our first coordinate. Oops, 5 by 3 is there. 4 by 3 is here. That's our second coordinate. 2 by 3, this is our third coordinate. 2 by 1, this is our fourth coordinate. 6 by 7 is here. This is our fifth coordinate. And then 6 by 2 is our last coordinate. So if we draw those out on a 4 by 4 grid, make the grid with a black. So there's our 4 by 4 grid. The first symbol is in the upper left quadrant here like this. So this is our first symbol. Okay, the second symbol is in the upper right quadrant. The third symbol is in the upper right quadrant going this way. The fourth symbol is in the lower right quadrant going this way. The fifth symbol is in the lower left quadrant going this way. And the sixth symbol is in the lower right quadrant going this way. So that's what I have here, which looks like this. Not, not entirely pleasing symmetrically, but that sure seems like what it is. So I believe that that's right. This might be the one we might want to hold on to this in case we got it wrong. Okay, what puzzle was this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is puzzle number 8. Any disagreement with this solution? I know it's hard to do. I know how hard this must be to do through a screen. But I believe that's everything's in quadrants of 4, so I believe I feel a little bit better if this was more symmetric about all the axes. Is it possible I got some of these translations wrong? Six by 7, 6 by 2, 2 by 1, 2 by 3, 4 by 3, 5 by 4, 3. They look right to me. Okay, well, let's mark this as solved. When we get to putting in our answers, if they're multiple choice, I assume they will be, we'll be able to spot if we're close but not quite right. Did we write down the cue somewhere on a separate piece of paper? Yeah, let's keep that. Okay, 2 more puzzles to go, but it's time for a break first. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we're back. Unfortunately, in the background, my printer is making noises, complaining, and refusing to print out the one piece of the game that we're going to need to fold to win, I can see. So I'm going to have to be messing with that. Anyway, talking in the chat about how is the game. We'll get to our final thoughts soon enough. I hope you'll give me yours as well when we get there. 2 more puzzles. I am curious how this game's going to end. Joseph Mayo says, having played Finders Seekers, I'm excited to share my opinion at the end. Okay, that's fantastic. I'm really happy to hear that we have someone who's played other games from this series that can tell us a little bit about how the one we played compares and what their thoughts about the series are. Great. Joseph, I hope you can stay around till the end, or at least come back at the end. All right, here we go. Next up, Queenstown. Date January 18th. I may have to get up and deal with the printer. Witness reports. Of course, there was a sighting in Queenstown. That's where everyone goes when they visit New Zealand. This resort town, in the shadow of several of the most beautiful mountains in the country, the Remarkables, Ben Lomond, and Cecil Peak, was recently in the shadow of one of the unidentified aircrafts. Mountain biker woman, a genuine Kiwi in this town of tourists, saw it rise above the treble cone ski field, and hover in broad daylight for several minutes. Even as we spoke, she second-guessed what she saw because she smelled nothing new in the mountain fresh air and heard no strange sounds over distant adrenaline-fueled whoops of bungee jumpers. She even saw a skydiver float right past as if it wasn't even there. Okay. Here's another real photo of this real place. Queenstown. I mean, I suppose if the whole value of this set is to look at these places, well, I might want to remember to make that point. Like, if the whole point of this is time of traveling, tourists traveling to visit these places, it's sort of a shame that these aren't real large color prints, that they're just color paper printouts. Okay, site significance. It is said that Rakahaitau, ancestor of original Maori settlers, dug all the lakes in the area, including Lake Wakatipu, on which Queenstown is built. Please, printer, I'm going to have to get up and do that. You guys read while I turn this printer off. So this color laser printer, the HP 255DW, I would recommend it, except it's got a very nasty habit of throwing errors and then really freaking out. So I wouldn't really recommend it in total. Okay, here we go. Dug all the lakes in the area, including Lake Wakatipu, in which Queenstown is built. Okay, so the mythology is that this ancestor dug all the lakes out. Was it an 1800s gold rush and explosive tourism popularity and rich foreign investors that made Queenstown unaffordable for most locals, or are celestial beings guiding events? The birthplace of adventure tourism, whatever that is, with world-class skiing, whitewater rafting, paragliding, and more. Would our visitors consider thrill-seeking to be evidence of intelligent life or Darwinian stupidity? Puzzle clue. I spoke to a boat attendant who found a container with a strange sand-like substance inside. Underneath the container was a metal plate, photo enclosed, with unknown symbols that matched ones found on the container lid. And a connection to be found with symbols on the cipher wheel, question mark. All right, so it's talking about this, but let me understand this. Underneath the container was a metal plate, photo enclosed. was that our... I gotta be careful because I put away... Yeah, okay, because this thing, which I put away as the answer to one of our things, actually had this on the back, which is what we need. Okay, so this is tricky. Sure, we don't need this anymore. We can reconstruct it if we had to. Okay, so what they're saying is there's this, and they go together. All right. And then the question is, which puzzle does it go with? Now, we don't have that many left here, so like it has to be either this one, or we've done all those. Done that one, I believe. Done that one. Can't remember if we did that one. Did that one. There's only two we haven't done. I think we haven't done this one. So it wouldn't be surprising if it was that one. All right, so anyway, there's the sand, which is sealed. This is very common with these kinds of games. They're just like found someone selling this thing cheap, and they just found a way to make a puzzle out of it that has nothing to do with sand. You never open it, you never need it. You just... it's just put in this world. Okay. And then there's a metal plate that matched the ones. Okay, so let's take a look. What have we got here? Well, everything is dual in pairs, so it wouldn't be very surprising if one of these was our cue and one of them was our answer. So like if you make a path, star, square, diamond plus triangle, where would you... what are these though? Does it look like... I think this might be one case where it might be nice to know which puzzle it is. So here's one of the puzzles we haven't done. What's the other one? We did that one. Did we do this one? Maybe we didn't do this one. I should have written down all the ones we did someplace. If we didn't do this one, then it's either this or this. That might help us. Okay, what's happening here? What's that? That's a cross. I mean, if you look for these shapes, we've got lots of them, right? We have some horseshoes. Let me just look at all of these here. We've got a pentagon, a chevron, a trapezoid, a star, a circle, and maybe like an asterisk. So if we look here, we've got trapezoids, we've got asterisks, we've got our diamonds, we've got a moon that isn't on our chart, horseshoe that isn't on our chart that looks like, what's our octagon? There's some weird shapes here. Are they all here though? I guess that's our chevron. I only see the one trapezoid. Is that right? So one trapezoid and one chevron. That's our first path here. Trapezoid to chevron, the pentagon. So here, if we draw a straight line between these, that's our straight line up. I mean, I guess since it's in its container here, we can play with it. So it looks like, oops, that goes there. Trapezoid to chevron. Where's our pentagon? That's not it. That's not it. Where is our pentagon? There it is, right there. Okay, so then down to there. Then to a star-shaped thing. Almost like a spinning top. I think, is it there? Is that the only one of its type? No, there's one here too. There's one here too. There's one here too. There's one here too. Here, this looks like the real one, maybe. The others are small. So is that right? That's kind of weird. Boy, that doesn't look right, does it? That doesn't look right to me. I'm not sure what we're doing here. What's this next symbol here? Circle, solid circle. What do you think is going on here? What are we not getting? What are we not understanding? This looks like solid circle. And then it goes to a something that looks like this. That does not seem right at all. And it makes no sense of this. So what does that mean? What are we not getting? What are we not getting? One thing that we're not getting is it seems clear that there are multiple options for these, and there's no way for us to prefer one over the other. Although there's only one. Is it true that there's only one chevron, or is that a chevron over there too? No, not a chevron. So it feels like these two are unique, but what's happening with this? Wouldn't you think this is one shape here, this is another shape here? Maybe we only care about what's in this box. Let's see. Does any of our two clues have a symbol that looks like that? Was this our last one? Is this one we didn't do? Because that looks like it could be that. Puzzle 1, is that a puzzle we didn't do? I think we need to organize our puzzles now. That's a new one Macon says we haven't done. All right, so I should have made a better list of what numbers. Okay, assuming that that's right, assuming that we haven't done this puzzle, then it makes complete sense that what we're looking for is the symbol. We don't care about the lines outside of the box, we just care what's in this box. And it does amount to connecting. So presumably when we went to the chevron, then we went to the pentagon, which was here. We got through that line there. Is that right? No. It was there was the pentagon. And then from the pentagon gave us that. Okay, it's making sense now, right? Because it's going to form this. It's going to form this inside this. Okay, so we don't even need to finish that. All we need to do is do the inner circle now, starting with a triangle, and we're going to put it inside this. All right, so where is our triangle? Right there? Is that our only triangle? Let me see if I can get this in the screen best. Okay, so I believe this is our starting triangle. Next up is a cross. Probably we want to cross our box somewhere. Where is our cross? It could be this, or it could be this. You'd have to guess that it would go through here, right? If you had to guess, you would guess, oh, here. Here's our cross right there. Okay, so it's going diagonally straight through it. Okay. There's our first line. Now we need a diamond. Where is our diamond? All the way over here? Is there any other diamond? I guess it's probably going to cross through there. That's a little weird, though. I don't see any other diamonds, though, so maybe that's what it has to go to. Boy, that doesn't seem right to me, though. Well, let's just do it and see. Okay, that does not seem right. Does it? Is there another diamond I'm missing? I guess diamond looks a lot like a square. It looks like a lot like a square. So it looks like a diamond if you don't rotate it, but maybe that's the whole clue about these being circles, that you have to keep rotating it. So that was an X, now it's a square, perhaps. All right, where's our square then? Here? I think that's our square right directly across on the same line. Okay. So far we got like a 7. Next symbol is a hollow square or a diamond. I think that's right there. And then lastly, a 5-pointed star right there. Probably crossing through this somewhere. Is that this right there? I don't love it. If it was that, what would it look like? Boy, that doesn't seem right. So that feels right, creating a 7. I don't see any other hollow options. So then how do we get to this 5-pointed solid filled star? It looks like it's right there. But that doesn't make sense. I guess it, I mean, then it would just be a 7. Macon says, I think we should do the left box, finish the left box so we understand the rules. That's not a terrible idea. All right, leaving this aside for a second, which doesn't quite feel right, but is possible. Let's go back and do our first one. So we went up, we went over, we went to the star, and now we need to go to a circle, which I believe is this one straight up. Remember, I'm doing this outer ring now. Now we went, and now we go to this thing here. I see. We do have a bigger problem, don't we? It's a square, right? Yeah, it's a square. So if I'm following this outer ring, I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4. To the circle. Now our last trip. But we need to get this line done. Oh, maybe... Is it possible that it's both paths carve on both of them? Like we... Sorry, I don't know. Sorry. I wonder if we're not using part of the red path on this one. Part of the red path on this one. Doesn't look quite right. But then maybe we use part of the black path on this one. All right, so but anyway, last path of this has to be to this kind of shape here, which looks like it might be, but surely it's not going to be on crossing here. But could it cross here? Could it cross here? Boy, that does not seem right. That does not seem right. What's happening? That can't be. Rob says the square on the second one is wrong. Isn't there a square sort of in the middle of the page to the left? I mean, there's something here and here that kind of look like squares, but they look a little tilted. That's not a square, and that's not a square. Whereas these, that is a square. Hmm. How strange. That's not a circle, is it? There's only one circle on this entire map, and it's right there. That's problematic because it means that... Okay. Yeah. I mean, when we drew this, we got here. Boy, that's weird. The problem is, leaving aside the red completely. All right, let's get rid of this whole thing. How much for this dry erase bullshit? So if we just try to do this symbol here, just go rewind back to the first, then we almost got this full symbol. Is that right? What's going on here? All right. It would be lovely to have a printout to draw on, but we don't. All right, we don't, so we don't. Just erase everything, go back. Super hard to see shapes on the screen. Yeah, it's hard to see them in person too, to be honest. Okay. Let's go rewound the whole thing. Let's start again. This is kind of a painful one. Trapezoid to chevron. All right. So it would have been nice to have a nice actual ruler in front of me, but I don't. So let's just... Okay, there's our first line straight down the middle. We think we know what the answer to this should be. It should be this. All right, let's just continue here. Chevron to the pentagon, which is right here. Let's draw this properly. Okay, and then that to a star, which we think is there. And if we do that, it does make a perfect thing. So there's our triangle, just the way we want to have it end up be this. Okay. So the problem is what happens now. Now we go to a circle. What we would love to do is go over this way. Instead of going up to a circle. That's just bizarro. But all right, let's just play this out. If it goes up to a circle, and then it has to go to this very ambiguous thing, which it feels like there's millions of. But maybe there aren't. Maybe I'm being impatient. It's really hard. If you're having a hard time seeing on the screen, let me just assure you I'm having a hard time seeing it here. This looks more like a spiky circle. It looks like that. But it's not. It's got more spikes on it. I can see the chat wants me to pay attention to something. I'm going to check it in a second. Is it that? No. As soon as I finish this, I'm going to look in the chat. So what is it? What is this spiky thing? Is it that? Come on. Maybe that's... Is it that? All right. It's the pink. It's the magenta on my magenta cubes that's making it not want to think. All right. So maybe I'm going to be safe from the chat by saying the straight line that goes horizontally is from the second path connecting with the X with the square. Okay. Don't know what that means. The straight line that goes horizontally is from the second path connecting the X with the square. Okay, I think what Antina is saying is when we drew this pink guy here, what we noticed before is he tried to come across. So that was our theory, that these two things are helping each other. So even though I didn't... okay, so I think if we start to draw the second symbol, this is, remember we drew that line that went from here straight across. So it was our original theory that the two symbols are helping each other. So let's back up and do the inner one now. So we went from, maybe we should be going in the opposite direction, but okay. So we went from the star, I guess we went backwards last time, but it shouldn't really matter. We went from triangle to cross, and then from cross to square. Okay, so let's just do whatever part we have access to. The theory from the channel is that if you draw this line here, at some point the group thought was wrong, but makes sense. If you draw that line, that's going to be this here. So it makes sense that this finishes this. So do we have a square to a spike? Where's our... square to a spike? No, we don't. So we've just drawn from the cross to this. So before we have to go to a triangle. So this is basically redoing what we did before. That makes sense. Then we went to the square. Where do we go from the square to a diamond? Where's our diamond? Our hollow diamond. There was only one. This is where we started getting confused, though. So there's our hollow diamond. Okay, this is everything we basically had before. And then we go to a star. This is exactly where we got into trouble last time. A 5-pointed solid star, which looks like it's right there. Okay, I see. Okay, that's right. Maybe this is where we made our mistake before. So this connects to this. Okay, so the pink helped us finish this. Triangle, line, this. So now we've got our full cue. So they worked together to give us this. So now we just need to go back and finish the black and see if he affects this. Otherwise, the answer to this is just a 7. Okay, let's finish this guy. He went circle, and then circle's going to go to this. That's what it is right there, which gives us our symmetric thing. Okay, so that was it. All right, okay. So that's going to that, which puts us exactly the symmetry we were hoping for. Okay. All right, just a little bit of a struggle, but we did stick with it. We figured out that was a good idea, whoever had it, to not... We shortcutted this once we knew what it was, but we should have realized that they need to work together. All right, so this is puzzle 1. There's our cue. And our answer is this pattern, which may have a name, this shape. I don't know it, though. So there's our puzzle 1 shape. All right, that one was a little rough, just because those shapes were so hard to see. All right, but not terrible. All right, last puzzle. You almost got to see me get upset. Not quite, though. It's going to take a little more than that. For all of you hoping to see me go on tilt, you didn't get it. You're not going to get it today. Location, Matori Bay, otherwise known as Rainbow Warrior Memorial. Witness reports, it's finally happened. I am the witness, me. No one can take away what I've seen with my own eyes. I was overtaken by awe at the many recent sightings, so I took to my favorite spot to contemplate my place in the universe from the cliffs above. I gazed over Matori Bay with its white sand beaches and crystal clear water. Then lights appeared above me. Whatever it was stayed above for several minutes, as if enjoying the sea air and incredible views with me. Suddenly it burst upward, leaving behind a hole in the clouds that let sunshine fall directly on my face. I was left holding a beautiful and delicate artifact. Its material is definitely otherworldly, some kind of thin and durable metal that's also pliable. You can fold it and bend it in any way you like, but as soon as you lay it down, the piece springs back to its original flat sheet. Okay, what does the chat say? Add the lines in the middle for the shape. You need to add the included lines with the answer. Okay, yes, thank you. Sorry. The chat is reminding me that I forgot I've got to add this. Okay, so thank you very much. So what we've got is a line that goes like this and like this, which breaks the symmetry, so I don't know why they're there. It's our first symbol that's not symmetric in any direction on any axis, which is a very weird thing. Okay, but when we check our answers, assuming they're multiple choice, what if they're not multiple choice? Assuming they're multiple choice, we'll know it. All right, so the person writing to us has become our first witness. They're definitely referring to the sheet that we're supposed to fold. Let's see what it says. Update. In the spot where I stood, there's now a sculptural memorial by Chris Booth to commemorate the Rainbow Warrior, a Greenpeace ship dedicated to protecting the oceans from those who would harm it. The message is so clear. Our celestial visitors support peace, and I want to understand their message more than ever. No one will ever convince me what I saw was a random weather phenomena. The chat is saying, I think the top line is just construction, not part of the solution. That's interesting. You think that this top line is outside of this box, not within it? The thing that argues against that is, look, this top point of the of this triangle is in the Q. And look, oh, look at this. Look at the box. So in fact, the whole box is part of it. So actually, not only is it these lines part of it, but this whole thing is part of it. So now actually, once you draw this, then it is symmetric about this diagonal axis. So that's our answer. It's actually the whole box is part of it, which now gives us symmetry here, left to right on this diagonal. Okay, good catch, good catch, good catch. Okay, so tribute to Greenpeace ship. Site significance. Some of the first Polynesian navigators landed at Matori Bay, and years later, this is also where they had their first contact with Europeans. Emphasis, first contact. Update. The Rainbow Warrior ship was bombed in 1985 because it was protesting foreign nuclear testing in the Pacific Ocean. The ship was given a traditional Maori funeral. It's now a living reef near the Kavali Islands and a refuge for all kinds of marine life, symbolic and literal protector of lower life forms. Is there a parallel? Puzzle clue. Here's a picture of inside of a cell. I'm positive there's more to this striking artifact I was given than at first glance. The markings on it are too deliberate to be mere design. Do they combine to reveal more symbols from the visitors? Okay, so it wants us to fold this in a way, and it looks like maybe we're going to get two sets of symbols. I would have loved to not have to fold this, but since I can't get the printer to work and we're in the middle of a session, we're just going to go fold it along some of these lines, and we're not going to worry about. I bought this used. I don't need to. It's not that expensive. One of the key questions we're always faced with these games is, do you mark on them or do you not? I mean, we've gone to all this trouble not to write on them. It's kind of weird to be messing with this one. On the other hand, when the game is very expensive, I take that seriously, but it's purchased used. It's not that expensive. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So I'm just folding it on the major axes where we seem to see some lines. Let's see, it looks like these could go together this way. And this way, it almost looks like it wants us to do this. Like a little, this is origami fold. Reminds me of one of my closest friends, Zach Brown, who was big into origami. Well, almost like we got a little pyramid here. What can we do with this, though? So this covers up some of the blank spots, but not all. Sure looks like these want to go together. Do you think we'd be folding it in here like this? Do the old inner fold. I'm sure there's a name for this in origami. Doesn't quite look like I've got it lined up exactly right. I'm assuming that kind of what we want is to have all of the background stuff disappear by the way we fold it. I'm just trying to fold it on all the lines to give us flexibility. This is one of these things where my spatial skills hurt us. This feels like it's in the right direction. We're getting there, I think. Is it a cube? Like, we've got a good chunk of these, right? But now, how do I get... This has got to be frustrating to watch. We had the same puzzle in a different game. I think you're right. I think we did. I'm just folding it in all the ways that would let us do it. Well, maybe you're going to get your chance to see me go on tilt after all. Looks like this comes over here. No. You can see, you can almost see where they were meant to connect. Well, maybe you are going to get to see me go on tilt. This is the kind of thing that can do it. Does it form a cube? Okay, I can see it. I can see it happening. It's like Bruce Banner in The Incredible Hulk. This is a good way to, like, if they wanted to study him and watch him go crazy, this would be it. Give him some of these spatial puzzles. This fold over to that? It's all symmetrical. There we go. All right. It's good that the channel isn't trying to give me tips because it just can't be done. It can't be done through YouTube delays. You just have to sit there and suffer. All right, but I think we got it. It's just folding into two sides. All right. Well, that's progress. I did not freak out. I did not go on tilt. There's our one symbol. That's going to be our Q, right? We remember that. Let's find it here. There it is. Right there. And then if we flip it, this becomes our symbol that we're supposed to draw. But we're not even going to draw this. Why bother? We're just going to keep this. We'll write down what puzzle number it is. It's puzzle number 7. So we'll just make a note. Okay, the channel says well done. The whole channel is... The whole channel has watched me. Everyone in here, all the people who are saying well done, has watched me go on tilt from these spatial things, watched me freak out, get angry, break out the whiskey. But you didn't get it today, did you? You didn't get your satisfaction of watching me go on tilt. Okay, now we've got the exciting part, however. We've solved everything. All 9 puzzles. Now we just need to figure out what the game wants from us. How to complete the find. Let's read it together. It says, assemble the cipher wheel. Study her 9 puzzles, solve them in whatever order. We did them in order. Okay. Once you've completed the cipher wheel, visit seekersunite.com, New Zealand. Okay, so let's do it. Let's go to our website. Okay. Seekers Unite. New Zealand. You're almost there. Hurry. Okay. Good work solving the 9 puzzles and completing the cipher tool. If you haven't, go back and do it. Now it's time to put it all together and discover what message the visitors are trying to communicate. When the cipher tool was discovered earlier this year, crews also discovered a beautiful metal orb. It was perfectly smooth and minimal in its design. There are 3 input displays on it. When touched, light up with numbers that change with each tap. It's combination lock, no doubt. Now that the cipher tool is complete, are you able to open the orb with a 3-digit code? Okay, so I see how they've decided to do it. We're not actually going to answer each puzzle. We're only going to have to know 3 of them. So it's clear we only need to identify what puzzle numbers that symbol, those 3 symbols are. So let's do this. Let's collect our puzzle solutions. Assuming they're all right. Let's just unclip them all. Okay, let's take a look at what we got. 4, puzzle 6, puzzle 2, puzzle 5, puzzle 3, puzzle 9, puzzle 1, puzzle 8. And then there was the one on this that we didn't do. Okay, 7. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we've got our 9. What does it want? It wants triangle and a square. What number is that? Let's do it that way. Okay, there's our triangle in a square. First digit's going to be a 4. Then it wants our semicircle in an I-beam. That's right there. That's our second digit, an 8. And then it wants the strange creature, which was a 2. So it seems like our answer is 4, 8, 2. 4, 8, 2. All right, let's give it a try. All right. So we think it's 4, 8, 2. Now, before I hit enter, does anyone have any objection? Four, 8, 2. Thank you. Okay, seems like everyone's in agreement. Let's try to submit and see what happens. Before we submit, here's a separate little quiz. What anime series, quite violent, does this remind you of? This giant globe. This is what it's all coming down to. The more important question. What anime series does the giant metal globe with writing on it? Gantz, yeah. Not Jonathan almost got. Jonathan says Gats. It's not, it's Gantz. But they made real live action movies of it too. I recommend it. It's pretty brutal though. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens. I'm going to click submit. Good work. Time to finish the find. As you input the working combination, the orb's display fades and a new message appears. Is this going to be all about Gantz? Are we playing Gantz here? Are we going to get sucked into this cube? If you see me start to go disintegrating, then you know Finders Seekers is much more dangerous than we thought. As you input the working combination, the orb's display fades and a new message appears. More symbols from the cipher tool combined with familiar characters. You immediately recognize the format. It's using the supergalactic coordinate system. Time to decipher the coordinates and see where the visitors are trying to lead you. I see. Okay, so now we need the rest of our things. Okay, let's write it down. So now we need all of our codes. Let's just get them laid out for us here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then our 7 was this one. I guess we can sketch this out, right? This is like our box with millions of little lines through it, like that, let's just say. Okay, so there's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's lay it out so we can track it better. Okay, so there's our digits. Now we can split with our top screen. Zoom in so everyone can see everything. Okay, let's write it out now together. We've got 1, 9, H. So the third digit is a normal human letter. Okay, then we've got 5, 4, M, right? And then we've got 6, 6, S. And then we've got plus, it looks like 42 3 degrees. So that one here, I believe that's English plus a 4 on our list. Plus, I guess this guy is meant to be twisted up. So that's a 3 plus 43 degrees. Then the next symbol is a 5. And then our crazy crosshatch 7. 57, whatever that is. That mark, that first mark is feet and inches, maybe? 57 feet and 18 inches. Oh no, there's one more. 182 inches, or these feet and inches is not in. Are they like portions of degrees? Is that, do you use those inches and feet marks not as inches and feet, but as partial degrees? So I got 19H, 54M. Oh, it's a time at 1954 minutes and 66 seconds, right? It's the time and a location. So 1900 hours, 54 minutes, and 66 seconds. And then at 43 degrees, 57 feet, 182 inches. I'm a little bit confused about this, but is this just a way of measuring degrees? 36 seconds, not 60. Oh, you're right. Those aren't. Thank you. That's a 3, not a 6. That's a 3, not a 6. So 36 seconds. So 7:54 p.m. and 36 seconds. 43 degrees. This is the only part that's throwing me a little bit, but I think this is just a measure of degrees. 57. I don't know what 18.2. Oh, you think this is an 18.2? Oh, you're right. There is a point there. Thank you. 57 feet, 18.2 inches. Is that what it means? Or is this a measure of location? It's either telling us how high off the ground, how high off sea level to be. But it doesn't matter. We don't need to figure that out. We've got our answer here. All right, this is where it wants us to go. We don't need to know any of that. We just need to fill it in here. Okay, 19 hours. Sorry, 19 hours, 54 minutes, 36 seconds, plus 43 degrees, 57 feet, 18.2 inches. All right. Are we all on board here? Minutes and degrees. Minutes and seconds are for degrees as well. Minutes and seconds are for degrees as well. Okay. Here we go. Submit where we're going to go in supergalactic coordinate system, which is some made up thing. Okay, here we go. Where are they trying to lead us? You ready? Before I click that, we should take our break. All right. I'll see you in 8 minutes for the finale. Okay, we're back. You're watching Co-op for Two. We're about ready to solve this Finders Seekers game set in New Zealand. Let us go back to the tablet and put in our final answer and submit it and see what happens. Here we go. Congratulations. You did it. As you search the coordinates deciphered from the communications left by the visitors, you identified the planet Kepler-186f in the Kepler-186 star system. Recent data and research have identified this planet about 500 light years away as likely inhabitable. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, you'd be hard-pressed to find explanations for some of the mysterious encounters throughout our world using only the sciences we have available today. Was that a real coordinate to this real planet? I wonder. Likely inhabitable, that seems like a stretch that we would be able to know that. Okay, just one last action remains. Oh, to learn more about Kepler-186f, click here. It sounds like this is a real place. All right, let me click on that. Look at that. Look at that. A real article from 2014. NASA's Kepler discovers first Earth-sized planet in the habitable zone of another star. Holy cow. The range of distance from a star where liquid water might pool on the surface of an orbiting planet. Do they know the atmosphere, or are they just saying it's at the right distance? Though the size of Kepler-186f is known, its mass and composition are not. So you don't really know. It doesn't sound like they know the... Oh, let's see. Future missions will discover the atmospheric conditions. Oh. We know of one planet where life can exist. 186. Kepler 186, huh? Is that where we gotta go? Is that where we gotta get off this planet before it burns up? Okay. And then, so it looks like the last thing you can do is, did you have fun as a small family business? We thrive on great reviews. Click here to leave us a 5-star review and earn some good karma. Enter to win prize. Let's just see what happens if you click on that. Okay, so you can click a form and they'll pick someone at random. You don't have to answer any questions. Sold through Cratejoy. That's weird that this is all through Cratejoy. Cratejoy is one of the, seems to amalgamate a lot of these subscription companies. So maybe it's offering this service to companies for a price. Okay. So that was Finder Seekers, our only game of it we've played. So we don't know if they all follow this format. I'm very curious how much they differ from box to box. I do have one other box. We could take a look at it and see what's similar about it. I'm going to give you my thoughts, but first let's check in with the channel a little bit. John says, overall, seemed like a pleasant enough game, a bit easy. Maybe it's meant to be aimed more at tweens. Could have used more narrative. Felt a bit more like a travel advert than a story to me. Emmy says, feels like family-targeted game. Gets kids interested in space, science, and travel. Explains puzzle difficulty, too. Did you say this was from a subscription service? Do we think there's an ongoing story linking the boxes together? If not, the story and resolution is weak. I don't think there is a connected storyline. I would be curious to hear if they're all extraterrestrial based. One odd thing about it, an odd mismatch in terms of science and real, we've got real places, real science, but one of the few games we've played that is telling it as if there really are extraterrestrials sending signals. It's a little bit of a weird mismatch, right? It's kind of like most of the games we play are set in fictional worlds, but don't have a supernatural element. And whenever you think there's a supernatural setup, it turns out to be a real human just tricking people. And here we have real world places, real world photographs, real science in the end, and yet the whole premise is that extraterrestrials exist. Mark Poole says it was quirky at times. And Tina says, in the past, we were joking about how the puzzles were for 12-year-olds. These puzzles were for 12-year-olds, more family-oriented. Yeah, I mean, a 12-year-old might have a little bit of trouble with some of these, but it's absolutely true. This felt much more like a family-rated game on all levels, right? There's no serial killers. There's no blood and murder and decapitation. It's easier puzzles, traveling, very little narrative, no real crime here. I think a 12-year-old might have some trouble getting through some of these puzzles without some help, but with some help, this would be a good family game. And some of the puzzles certainly possible to do, like the map puzzle and everything. And the cutting out things. So okay, Joseph's here. I want to hear from Joseph about how these compare to the others, what's common about this one and compared to some of the others. Joseph said, okay, so I've played from this company before. This box is better than others I've played, but I feel all the boxes have a very similar abstract spatial puzzle. This is absolutely the most spatial puzzle games that I've seen in one of these boxes. I mean, it's remarkable how this was pure spatial puzzling, shapes and stuff. Joseph, do they all have this cipher wheel system where there's always two pieces to each puzzle? One tells you what puzzle you're working on and the other one is the solution to it, or is that quite different? We played another game. Does anyone remember the other game we played where the answers to each puzzle had to do with drawing shapes and symbols like this? Like drawing arbitrary shapes and symbols? I remember what game that was. Joseph says, no, they don't all have this formula, but they've all have 9. It's fun to see how these different companies have their different systems. So they figured out 9 works. Okay, what was the other puzzle where the answer to each puzzle was this abstract drawn symbol? Who remembers? Someone's got to remember. These are the most interesting, these little trivia questions. Escape Tales. No, that's not right. Jonathan says Escape Tales. Nope, that's not right. I mean, Escape Tales did have symbols that were answers, but I don't believe they were drawn out symbols. Joseph says, glad these companies and boxes exist, but this ranks near the bottom of the market along with Conundrum Box for me. The other game we played where you actually draw out the symbols was Curse of the Dark Castle, or Curse Escape the Dark Castle, something like that. This big elaborate 3D board game one. That one had us draw out shapes that were solutions and then you look them up. Okay. So let me give you some thoughts from me. First of all, this absolutely is felt like a very family G-rated game. Not quite for me or for us. Too easy, but also too thin on the narrative story. So the puzzle games for me are more fun when there's a really compelling sort of adult scary story going on. Even if it's not adult and scary, I need a story. I need more of a story. And this one was more of like, here's this framing, but the text was just there wasn't a storyline thread really. Just here, each page is a completely separate independent puzzle. There's no connecting, there's no reading comprehension, there was no logic. Just 9 completely separate puzzles, all of them reasonably easy. I did like, it's a unique, clever hook, though. The hook of saying each box you're going to travel to a different real place. And you could absolutely see a family. I'm not a real travel person. I don't really care about travel. I just assume visit a place in VR than visit it in real life. But there are lots of people who love the idea of traveling. And you could imagine a family that like to travel, getting these boxes and each time being like, where are we going to go this time? And opening up and being like, okay, today we're going to New Zealand. We have don't know anything about it. Look at these pictures, how beautiful they are. That's a very clever and effective hook. And I can see, and unique. I've not seen it done before at all. Makes a lot of sense. And I could see some people really enjoying that part. Maybe I would even lean in more to that. Like if I was this company, I would lean in harder to that. I would have maybe full color glossy photos of these places. We play a lot of cold case games where you're navigating around a map, and I think it would make even more sense to have like each box you got had a map of the place, and you actually traveled to those places, right? And said, okay, now we're going here. Now we're going here. We could see where it is on the map. I mean, we got these 9 different places we went, but they weren't on our map. We had a map, but it was a complete abstract map. But why not give you the experience? If that's the hook, if that's the gimmick, if that's the enjoyable part, why not have a game where you're actually traveling? Like you go to one place, you could see, okay, here we are on the map. You could actually plot a pin and say, we go here first. You solve a puzzle, and you get a piece of more instruction from the treasure map that directs you to the next place. And then you say, oh my God, that's exciting. Now we're going to here, this big volcano. And then you go to the volcano on the map and you can trace your path out as you play the game on the map. That seems like that would be the narrative engaging story of traveling in this place. And then you could let the players experience the travel too. Like, oh, we got on the train and we went under the ground. And like, we had a tiny little piece of that in 1 or 2. But why not, if the hook is that this is travel, let's give us the full travel adventure. Give us some adventure and danger of when we were on the rapids and we got knocked off the boat and now we ended up on this little island and we can look on the map and figure out where we ended up. That seems like that would be a little more compelling. I did like the unusual logic challenge of saying that each puzzle was this duel where finding the cue to figure out what puzzle it was basically a multiple choice because it had to be something in this wheel. And then the second part was a freehand symbol. That's a pretty clever combination of skills that it requires to do. Like one, you've got multiple choice, so it helps you narrow down the possibilities. And once you find the pattern that you got to get the first half, you apply that pattern in the second half. I thought that was a pretty clever system to frame all the puzzles in this box. Joseph said they not all use this system. Again, bottom line, this isn't really for us. It's not compelling for me. I don't have an interest in playing the rest of these, but I could see recommending it for a family. And I did like, in general, I don't tend, whenever I see the games with the gimmicks like this sand and stuff, it just irks me a little bit just because like, I don't need this sand. But maybe if you're a family, if you got a young kid, actually, you could see how that would be fun. So, you know, maybe for the target audience, it makes sense. For me, I think that posters, I would rather have them put the money into some glossy photos of the place. If the hook is travel, then let me see where we're traveling, that kind of stuff. What else? We didn't take a look at the hint system. I thought the rules were fairly clear. there was one part that was a little bit confusing. Let's see, we've got a whole page of hints on the other side of this initial instructions that we could have read if we got stuck. Let's see, what are they? Are they clues for each puzzle? Yes. So in the box comes with clues for each puzzle, and then you can get the answers online. So you got to read them in reverse, but they're labeled for each thing. I mean, I like that. I like it. Turns out you don't need the internet except to solve it, except to get the final solution. And that was just to finish up the story. You wouldn't even need the internet. You'd know you solved all the 9 puzzles. And it was a reasonably clever way where it had us communicate our answers as part of the story. So you can't really complain about that. Mark, there's a distinct lack of natural flow in this game. I think, yeah, it's a little bit of a strange way to say it, but I think you're basically saying there was no narrative story here. Just 9 separate independent little puzzles set in a framing like each of these are visions of that the aliens were talking to us. It wasn't totally illogical. It's just that there was no arc, there was no pace, there was no story. It was just, here are 9 independent puzzles you can solve in any order. I like when they let you solve things in any order, but maybe another way to say it is, very frequently with these kinds of puzzle narrative games like Deadbolt, when you solve one puzzle, you're figuring out information to help you do the finale, right? Like you're eliminating suspects, or you're finding out the murder weapon, or you're doing something that's helping you solve the larger puzzle mystery. Here it's just saying, here's 9 puzzles, come up with the 9 codes, and then when you get the end, there's a little bit of framing for how you put them together. But you're never making you're never revealing information, you're never unwrapping, you're never getting deeper into the mystery, and that is an absolute missed opportunity. I don't know if they're all like that, though. I don't know if some of them are designed. It's sort of at the extreme end of the independent puzzles that we see in these games. Often there's a couple puzzles you can work on simultaneously in any order, but then there's a bottleneck, and you can see this is going on a different path. Some people might like this better. I do think probably younger audiences. And Joseph said this is one of the better ones. Do you feel like the box was well themed for New Zealand, or do you feel it could have been at any location for the story puzzles? The Chicago box felt like it fit the setting more. That's a good question. Well, I don't know anything about New Zealand, so that's a little hard for me to answer. But yes, it felt like this could have been absolutely anywhere. None of the puzzles felt specific to New Zealand. You could see, though, that they sort of reference the different locations, but yeah, I think it could have been set anywhere. I agree with you. None of the puzzles really hung us up. There was one puzzle I really quite liked, and so most of them were very obvious what to do. The one that I really liked, though, was where was it? This one. This was the one puzzle that I really quite liked a lot. And that's because it had these 2 parts. It had like, what are these lines? How do we make sense of them? And then it just felt like we could use logic to help us figure out what it wanted. And it was quite clever. And again, this dual thing, the fact that it was used in so many different ways, was really quite clever. That every puzzle has this dual A and B part that go together. Really quite clever. And this was cool because you look at it, you're like, okay, there's lots of ways you can connect purple to purple. But then it turns out there's really only one unique way to connect each one with itself, with its matching partner. And then even when we did that, we're like, how do we get a symbol out of this? And that's where this clever thing happened, where you're like, well, I know that the first symbol, the purple, has to be one of these things. So how do I get this path to be one of these? And that's when all of a sudden, okay, it clicks. These connect. And that's a very clever, that's sort of putting lots of these different ideas together. The fact that, it has to be one of these symbols, it has to be a solution that works for the A and the B. There has to be a unique solution. That was a very clever puzzle. Mark says, I've been to New Zealand, but this could have been anywhere. Yes, I agree with that. This may be reading too much into it. I mean, I tend to not be a kind of person who cares too much about these things, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But it is odd to me that this feels like it's so tied to real science and nature, and yet to have these extraterrestrials being a real part of this story. That's a little jarring to me. Like, I wonder if you were a family, would you... I guess you don't care. You tell the kids it's just a story. You don't worry about it, about them thinking the extraterrestrials are real. Although now on YouTube and on the news, they seem to be flirting with the idea of extraterrestrials being real, something which seems ridiculous to me on its face. Just by the nature of evidence, it seems ridiculous that... Ridiculous is not the way to say it. Balance the evidence. What's more likely? It seems to me there's a million explanations for everything more likely than aliens. Okay, Joseph says the audience for this box is middle high school students in a geography class or after school club for a fun activity. I think that would be a great audience for it. I could absolutely see it. The only thing I'd like to do is see them lean more into that. So you're doing more actual navigating in the real world with nice maps and stuff. In fact, so we've given a couple ideas what you could do, but someone raised a question, I think it was Rob, who said, are these stories connected, if not a very light narrative? Well, that's a great idea. If your audience is sort of a geography club or people who are interested in travel geography, wouldn't it make sense to frame this entire series as kind of a treasure hunt where you go from one place to the next so that you have each box end with getting a message from some secret society at the base of this mountain in New Zealand saying, we just got a letter. The next journey is to, London. And then when you're at finished London looking for this treasure, you scramble to the edge, you just reach the end of it, and you get your letter saying, I'll meet you in New York. Why not lean into that and have people really feel like they're traversing the globe like Carmen Sandiego, as the comment says. That seems like that would almost make up for some of the lost narrative if you had these things connect. I'm assuming, Joseph, that the other boxes in this set aren't all extraterrestrial based. I do think that there's a missing niche here for these games having to do with hunting treasure that continues. Some of the companies have made little one-offs hunting treasures, but we haven't seen someone try to make a whole subscription series box that involved going from treasure to treasure hunt to treasure hunt. That seems pretty compelling to me. Maybe it's a good subject for one of you to start planning a mystery game. I'd be happy to talk about it with you. There is a Discord for this channel, as well as a Board Game Geek forum section for this channel. You'll find both You'll find links to both on the About page of this YouTube channel. I'm in the Discord whenever I'm awake, so there is a sub channel on that Discord where we're talking about High and Low, my detective game. I could always use help for that, but I'm happy to talk about game design of all type. We do have a bunch of games to play in the queue. You can see actually behind me here is Curious Correspondence Club set. That's a much more hands-on puzzly thing that is not quite my speed, but I'm willing to give it a try. It's great to have this group come by and visit me. It's nice to play with new people today. I won't be playing on weekend afternoons very frequently. This is a weird time for me, but we will play it. We will continue our weekend playthroughs. Hopefully next week we'll be playing Dear Homes. Joseph says play Blackout by Deadbolt Mystery Society. Well, I've got almost every Deadbolt Mystery Society. We'll be going through them. We'll have to speed up if we ever want to catch up. We will be playing that Marxist. Thanks. Well, it's my pleasure. It is a pleasure to share this experience with you. I had fun. Stop by the Board Game Geek Game Queue section for this channel, the forum, and you can help us decide which games to play next. Soon we're going to play the Commandeered Corpse Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective fan-based case, but we have so many games to play. It's an abundance. There's a phrase of an abundance of good choices. I'll be back. Oh, you're right. Thank you for reminding me. We won't be playing Dear Homes next Sunday because I won't be back in time for it. So we're going to have to wait. We're going to skip another week. But then we'll have a stack. We'll be ahead of the curve with Dear Homes. So we won't have to skip any more weeks. Okay. I had a pleasure. I'll see you guys on the next video.